everybody. Welcome to the Talking Disney podcast. This is so exciting. Today, we are talking about my favorite, talking about The Little Mermaid. And this is the podcast where every month we talk about a Disney classic of the Disney canon, and we let the random number generator determine what we're going to talk about. And we landed on The Little Mermaid finally. And we can close out the 80s. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Stanford is here.
Hi.
Yes, and we have a special guest. I couldn't talk about Little Mermaid without inviting Alyssa Kunkel here from the Little Librarian. Alyssa, thank you so much for coming on and joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. When you messaged, I literally was like, yes!
Yay! Yeah.
Oh, it's so great to have you here, Alyssa.
Here's the backstory for people that haven't been following my channel for a long time. Back in 2016, I reviewed the entire Disney canon on my channel. And and when we got to Little Mermaid, I found out about Alyssa's channel that she was doing at the time, and that The Little Mermaid was her favorite Disney movie. It's my favorite Disney movie, and so we connected, and we did a collaboration called the Little Mermaid Tag, and we ended up tagging like, I don't know, a dozen people or so that all did it. Mm-hmm. So it got some pretty good traction. And it's just a bunch of silly questions about if you ever had red hair, and what's your favorite ginger actress, and things like that. And it was pretty fun. And so I was like, we hadn't connected for a little while. And so this is really fun to have you on and to talk about this film that we both love so much.
Yes, I'm so excited. I can't wait. The tag was like an absolute blast to do. So being brought on for this was really, really exciting to me.
Yeah, it was a very, very fun experience. And I'll put a link down I have a whole playlist of all of the tags and tag participants. And you can take a look at those if you want. But yeah, let's talk about The Little Mermaid. This is so exciting. 1989, this was a huge moment for the Walt Disney Animated Studios and for so many, really, in moviedom. This is just a big, big moment for animation, big moment for the beginning of the Disney Renaissance. And Stanford, you're a little bit older than myself.
Yes.
So you, what was your situation when you saw this?
So... I, of course, being a lifelong Disney fan, I was really excited about the film coming out. It came out over Thanksgiving holiday in 1989, and I was in Los Angeles with some of my family celebrating Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And so we ventured out that weekend, and I mean, I remember distinctly, and sometimes I can't even remember what I had for lunch, But I can this thing I can remember. So it was this great movie palace in the Westwood area of Los Angeles, which is by UCLA. But they've just got all these really great old movie palaces in that neighborhood. And it was the Pacific Crest Theater, and we saw The Little Mermaid. And I think my whole family, we were all literally just absolutely blown away. Like, I just remember we looked at each other like, did we just see that? Yeah. It was so good. We were all just so dazzled, and it was just such a delight to see Disney return to the fairy tale with such a I was going to say such a vengeance, because that's just kind of the idiom, but it's just pure delight. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. So I just have nothing but happy memories, about seeing this film.
Yeah. Me too. I saw it at the Villa, our favorite. We talked about it a lot on this podcast, in Salt Lake City. And it's the first real memory I have of seeing a movie in the theater. I know that there were ones before that. I would have been 8, so I'm sure we would have gone many times before that. But we didn't go that often, and this was the first one to really make an impact in my life. And not only did it make an impact in my life as a movie, it was the first music that ever really like inspired me. And you can ask my brother, because he hears Little Mermaid and he immediately, my older brother, he's like, ugh. I listened and watched and all things Little Mermaid for at least 3 years. It was definitely the most influential piece of media of my childhood. When the next closest thing would be in high school, I became kind of obsessed with Les Mis, and that has kind of had sort of a similar, even though that was theater, the music and the, you know, it kind of was my new thing to be obsessed with. But I just absolutely love this film. I still love it. I still love Jodie so much. I got to meet her at FanX. I got to have my picture taken with her.
That's amazing.
That was
incredible. That's so cool.
I'm so jealous. That's amazing.
I know. It was incredible. And I just about cried. You're in and out so fast at those photo ops, but it was incredible. And what about you, Alyssa? What was your kind of experience with this film?
So it came out before I was born.
Yeah.
So I grew up watching it, and then I think it was like around 97, they re-released it into theaters. And my aunt took me and my cousin. And so in 97, I was, 5. And I remember going. Yeah. And that was honestly my first real theater experience that I remember. And we did a photo booth, and my aunt made sure we had our snacks and everything like that. And I sat down, and I just remembered being so drawn in to the film, and it just completely wowing me. It's always been my favorite. Everything I always wanted was mermaids. I always wanted red hair, which I have now. And it's just made this huge impact. The music is so part of everything, my childhood. Whenever I hear it, instantly I'm taken back to those moments, and it's super special.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that experience with this movie, and I think part of it is because of where the studio was and where animation was in 1989. I mean, you have whole years in the 80s, I think it's 87, I believe, that there wasn't a single animated film the whole year. I mean, can you even imagine that?
I know, right?
I mean,
that's wild to think.
I remember,
seriously.
I think it was 2016 where we had Captain Underpants, Cars 3, and Despicable Me 3, I think, all in the same month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mainstream. That's not even when you think counting indies and anime. And I mean, we have so much content now just in the one spot of animation. And the 80s was just it was so much harder to make animation, especially back then, that it was just such a different experience. And so then when this came along, I think it meant a lot to everybody, because it had been such a dark time for Disney animation. Even what they did produce, which wasn't very much, it was not the best. So it was the dark age of, and it had been so long, as you said, Stanford, since they had produced a fairy tale. And it's really interesting to me because Jeffrey Katzenberg, he told people that he felt like this was a girls' movie, that this was not going to do very well because it was a girls' movie. And that was something that Walt Disney Studios believed for a long, long time, because of the failure of Sleeping Beauty. But yeah, you must have gotten that sort of sense of it being a watershed moment for the studio, Stanford.
Oh, absolutely. And sure, these princess movies can be categorized, as a girls' movie, but I really just felt like it was the return of a combination of a family musical.
Yeah.
So something that would appeal to the whole family, and the music was just so good, and the comedy is so good in the film, and there's so much action. and you know, romance, and I mean, it's got, I think, some of everything, and just, you know, an outstanding like Broadway quality musical done with animation, and it was just, you know, I think that, and as I mentioned, I went with my family, and we all, you know, are different ages and had different tastes, but we all loved it.
Yeah,
you know, we all loved it.
Yeah, and they had been practically closing down the animation department at this point.
Right? They were working some warehouse.
Yeah, God. Jodie Benson said at her FanX panel that they were closing things down when she was doing a lot of her recording and stuff, and I mean, they had no idea that this was going to be such a hit. It wasn't, she wasn't even planning on doing much publicity, just a few little things, and then there was like one thing after another thing after another thing, and it just became this huge phenomenon that then was followed and created this whole renaissance. But yeah, it's really interesting to think back that, you know, that this was not only that Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, that they really injected the energy into the Walt Disney Animated Studios that had been sorely lacking for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. And sure, this movie is directed by Ron Clements and John Musker. They would definitely go on to become Disney legends. They had previously done The Great Mouse Detective, which is pretty fun. We've talked about that on the podcast. But they had this gong meeting where they brainstormed, and this movie, this, of course, is based on the Hans Christian Andersen classic, was story was brought up, and first Katzenberg was like, no, because they're concerned because they thought it was too close to Splash, which had come out not too long before. And
yeah, like I think it was Splash 80. Oh, I'm trying to remember the date. Was it 87, or is that too late? Anyway, yes, but, but yeah, not too terribly far, or previously done.
Yeah, which is ridiculous because they're so different.
I know, right?
There's really no. And Alyssa, are you familiar with the actual story, with the fairy tale?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very morbid.
Yeah, it is.
I know, huh? It is.
It's so morbid, and it's really funny to me, like, now as an adult, like, to think back, like, they made one of the, like, probably one of the most disturbing, like, original fairy tales really amazing and very vibrant and full of life, and it's like, wow,
and happy.
Disney really is magic.
Yeah, well, that's what I was laughing when people were all saying with the new casting. They're all saying, "Oh, it's not what Hans Christian Andersen would want." And I'm thinking, are you crazy?
Are you kidding me?
He also wouldn't have wanted a Jamaican crab singing. Like what?
Yeah. Oh, that's so bad.
I'm like, that ship sailed a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that I mean, it's kind of interesting that both of the Hans Christian Andersen based stories that were turned into Disney musicals, in my opinion, were much improved. Because you're Frozen and The Little Mermaid, but here they managed to focus on Ariel as a more, I think, empowered character than in the original story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I do think she feels a lot like a creature of the early 1990s, even though it was 89, sort of that empowered woman who can have it all kind of idea, you know, that she's rebelling against her father. She not even just her body and who she is going to kind of stop her from dreaming, and I think that's a very kind of creature of that time.
Oh yeah, it's during that like 90s girl power like movement, like whenever you started seeing that a lot. And I can see that she definitely was a big part of that.
Yeah. Well, Jodie Benson, she had worked with Howard Ashman in the musical Smile, the Broadway musical, and so that's how they knew about her, and so they brought her on. And have you, Stanford? Did you watch Howard the documentary?
I did, and if I had ever heard about Smile the musical, I had forgotten. So it was really interesting to see that. How Jodie Benson and Howard Ashman met, because I just didn't know that.
Yeah.
That story, and that was really interesting. That was really an interesting part. I mean, the whole documentary is very interesting, and I liking the Little Mermaid so much, and then also just having so much respect for Jodie Benson, I really enjoyed hearing that story.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, Alyssa, if you have Disney Plus, as a documentary called Howard, that is all about Howard Ashman. It's pretty inspiring.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Just a side note, Rachel, Splash came out in 1984.
Oh, okay, so it was a few years.
It's on Disney Plus, and if y'all haven't seen it, you really should watch it because it's a fun movie. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
No, yeah.
I'll just be adding all the things to my like watch.
I know, right? All this watch list now, Alyssa.
By the end of this, I'm gonna have like 15 more titles. I'll be like, all right.
You're like Great Mouse Detective, Splash.
I've thankfully seen The Great Mouse Detective. It's a favorite. So
it's a fun one. Clements and Musker, they like, even their less successful movies, which I would say, to me at least, Princess and the Frog and Treasure Planet are less successful. They're still fine, in my opinion. They're still fine. But they are such an incredible directing team. You have, just The Little Mermaid and Aladdin alone is incredible. But then Hercules in its craziness is a lot of fun.
Well, and they went out so strong with Moana. I mean, talk about, leaving on a high note.
Yeah, very much.
John Musker retired. I believe Ron Clements is still in the studio, but
I think so. Yeah, I think that's true. And so, you have a lot of legends working on this movie. You've got Glenn Keane, who is an incredible animator and still working. He's got a new movie coming out this year called Over the Moon, which looks so good.
About. Bring it.
Yes. And we it's so nice because we can just be hyped for it because it's coming to Netflix. So it's going to come.
Yeah.
No delays.
No delays.
But I'm so excited. It looks so good. And it's a musical, but he's incredible. And he did the animation for Ursula. For Ariel. And so they just had this, is one of those lightning in a bottle thing. They had this incredible team. The voice cast we'll talk more about. The incredible musicians, Alan Menken and with Howard Ashman, what's interesting about him is just how involved he was, because lyricists were not always involved in the story really that much. They were just there to write the lyrics. And he, that's when you see in the Howard documentaries, you hear him singing the songs and doing the performances before the animators so that they could get the spirit of what he wanted with someone like Ursula, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He even dress up as the part and that kind of thing, which is just so cool. I mean, he got a story credit, which again is unusual for a lyricist to get, which is really cool. What do you think, Stanford, what's one of your favorite things about this movie? Where you think makes it such a success?
Well, I think you said it really well with the lighting in the bottle. Everything just came together so perfectly. Of course, the animation is top notch.
Yeah.
But I think really what it comes down to is such a good story and that music.
Yeah.
Just perfectly cast too. But again, even if they had a perfect cast and the story and the music were iffy, I don't know if that would necessarily could have carried it, but it's just such a great the story. I think just came together so incredibly well, and then those songs. I mean, part of your world. I could just listen to that on repeat and think that would be just fine. I just love that so much, and again, not to mention just what a great song it is, but just how beautifully animated that whole sequence is. It's a masterpiece, really, and I think in the best sense of the word.
And there was such an attention to detail in this movie. This is the last traditional painted cell animated film from Disney, which is kind of sad in a way, but they took all the time. There's over 1 million bubbles, and every time a character moves in the water, you see bubbles. And that was something like, if I look at something like Aquaman, which had beautiful world building, but it didn't feel like it was really under the sea to me because I missed those bubbles. There wasn't that attention to detail. It just kind of looked like a green room. And I think that's what separates, especially during this Renaissance period, but that's what separates Walt Disney Animation from all the rest. This incredible attention to detail that they took the time to animate 1 million bubbles. So
agreed.
Yeah. So it starts out with Fathoms Below, which I love that intro. I think it's so it just draws you in, and
it's
it really
a perfect intro.
It feels like a Broadway musical right from the beginning.
For sure.
Yeah, the score draws you in. I also love how the score uses choral music in the score that's as one of the instruments, and I just think it helps draw you into the story, and you must appreciate that, Stanford, as someone who
I love it. Would that be fun to be a background, so be a part of that choir? How fun.
Yeah. And we get the opening concert and that the whole setup, and I definitely related to this right away because that's the kind of thing that I would probably do if I was Ariel and I was 16, and is just forget. There's no malice in it. She's not trying to be a brat, at least in this scene. She's just a little forgetful.
She's in her own world.
Yeah, she's in her own world.
Yes, truly.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember one time my parents this is when I just started to drive, but my parents had arranged all of this stuff so that I could take my sister to this lesson or something like that, and I completely forgot about it. And they were so frustrated because they'd gone to all this work to make sure that she could make the class, and then I forgot. And I think it's just, when you're 16, it's easy to, I mean, when you're 39, it's easy to do it too, but especially when you're young like that, it's easy to forget. It was very relatable to me.
No, it definitely is. It's easy to those types of things, those type of responsibilities and things that you're supposed to do as a 16-year-old. They're easy to just kind of let them go to the wayside for, exploring a, sunken ship.
And one thing that's funny is that Glenn Keane said that his wife evidently looks exactly like Ariel without fins.
Oh.
Nice.
So, she's pretty, so that's a compliment.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
And one of the things I think is really important at this early getting to know her scenes is that a lot of people, the criticism against Ariel is that she gave up her fins for a man. But I've always fought that, because you can fault her for lots of things, but that is just not true. She had been collecting human stuff for years to build up this huge grotto, and she sings Part of Your World before meeting Eric. So she already had that desire, and it's only because her dad throws a hissy fit that that she then makes the decision that she makes. But that had always been there.
Yeah, no, she had always had that love of the world, like of, above the sea. Like it wasn't anything new. Eric was just the tip of the iceberg. Like he was just the extra thing. And on top of that, when you're 16, of course you're going to rebel if your dad like flips out about something. You're going to be like, you know what? This guy is kind of off his rocker, so I'm going to do the opposite of what he says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what do you think, Stanford, of Scuttle and Flounder as sort of the side characters?
I love all the side characters. I just absolutely love them. I think Scuttle, the perfectly cast. I think Buddy Hackett as Scuttle was brilliant, and he's just so funny. And the script they give him, his lines are funny, and the animation's funny. I mean, come on, the Dingle Hopper stuff, you know. I mean, that's so fun. And I love Flounder and Sebastian too. I just think they're the perfect sidekicks, and I really love how they incorporate them. I know we'll get there, how they incorporate all three of them throughout the movie. None of them are just kind of forgotten characters. They're integral throughout the entire plot. I really like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's interesting because it doesn't matter at all that there isn't really a continuity as far as like there's like a French chef, and there's Grimsby is British, and then there's a Jamaican crab, and I don't know what Triton is, but like
just doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all, at least to me. Know about either of you. It's just a fairy tale. It's you got the New Yorker voice, a Buddy Hackett. You got it all there.
Yeah.
And I mean, something like, I think like Coco, that would be really distracting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't work when the setting has so much to do with
there's such a sense of place there, whereas it's not trying to be Denmark at all.
No.
Even a little
bit.
Well, I think the fact that like it's already such a like out there fairy tale with like mermaids that they were like, you know what? Let's just throw it to the wind. Let's do it all.
It's so true, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know how they came up with making Sebastian Jamaican? They had tried a couple different things, I think. And I think it was a combination of Samuel Wright and Alan Menken. He wanted that with that percussion that kind of evolved to that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think, don't they talk about that in the Howard documentary a little bit too?
Yeah.
Something about that, or it might be Waking Sleeping Beauty, and that's another one to add to your list, Alyssa, if you haven't seen. Another documentary.
Adding it to my list.
I know, sorry.
I love it. No, I love it. I love watching documentaries on stuff like this, so I'm totally in for it. Just like,
I think
just
you'll
send me
enjoy
all
these.
the recommendations.
Yeah. Oh, you'll love Howard then. Especially, I mean, the stuff on Little Mermaid is amazing, and seeing him playing Ursula is incredible. But especially the whole section on Beauty and the Beast, where there's all this behind the scenes of Angela Lansbury and Lumiere, like Lumiere actor, I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Jerry Orbach. Them recording, it's pretty incredible. And so highly recommend that. But yeah, and it's interesting to follow sort of the evolution of the creation of Ursula as a character. So they originally had thought of her as to somebody that, well, they were basing it kind of on the performer Divine. They also had Joan Collins, because evidently Howard Ashman was a big fan of Dynasty, and it got kind of evolved into this sort of Divine thing. And originally they were hoping to get B. Arthur to voice from Golden Girls to voice Ursula, but she turned it down. And then they had Elaine Stritch, who's a famous Broadway, but Howard Ashman didn't get along. So then they got Pat Carroll, and thank goodness. I love her so
Pat
much.
Carroll's performance.
She's amazing.
Isn't she though? I know, she's so great.
It's such a weird performance, but it works so well. That this kind of gravelly voice, this kind of this life's still of tough choices, isn't it? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is so great. And I don't know, what about you, Alyssa? Where would Ursula rank for you as far as Disney villains?
Oh,
yeah,
that's hard. But she's definitely up there, like probably top 3 at least, because she's just so notable. Like, if not number 1, because Poor Unfortunate Souls is hands down my favorite villain song. Like, I can't get past that. Like, she went for it, and it was just perfect.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Stanford? Where does she rank for you as far as villains?
Ursula is up there. I think she's definitely top 5.
Yeah. Same. I mean, I've long said that I think that Scar is probably my favorite, just because he is such a sociopath.
Yeah.
And I do also love Maleficent, and Cruella is great, but that Ursula is up there in that top 5 for me as well.
Oh yeah,
for sure. And Poor Unfortunate Souls is such a great song.
Terrific. I know.
And we gotta put. I guess we should talk about Part of Your World first. So so she sings it, and I think that that really this is the best I Want song, because in Beauty and the Beast, it's like a reprise. It's not really like a song in the same way when she has her I Want moment. And there's Reflection in Mulan, that one's up there. There's Let It Go, that's definitely up there in the debate. There's How Far I'll Go in Moana would be up there. But I don't know, I still would put Part of Your World above any of those.
Yeah. I feel like it's definitely one that, like, it's before she gets to the point where she decides to make that, bargain with Ursula, and it's just purely her. Yeah, it's purely like in her, like what she's wanting in her head before everything. And so I just feel like it just kind of has that little step above some of the other ones for that reason.
Yeah, and you also get the reprise, which I also love.
So
after having saved Eric, and she's even more confident of what she wants. What about you? What do you think, Sanford, as far as a Part of Your World?
Well, I think you're right. It probably is the best I Want song. It at least of these modern day, Disney flicks, but it's the animation too. I love the song, of course, and Jodie Benson could she be more perfect? Come on, right? And but the animation, I particularly there are a couple of segments in that or portions of it that I love. One is that she's looking up, and then just the way that the quote unquote camera
I love
is
that.
Yes.
And then also there's one where she's kind of swimming and flipping on, also swimming upwards too. And again, I just think the animation's so amazing, and she's so expressive, and it's such a happy moment as well. And I think that grotto is the coolest. I was so happy when they put in that Little Mermaid ride at Disneyland, because you get a little taste. You get to go into the grotto, and I love how they integrated Sebastian, how he kind of pops up, in different places in that scene, because I love that in the movie.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting to me that of all of the huge success of the Disney Renaissance, that The Little Mermaid is really the only one that has a ride.
I know, it's sick and wrong. They need more. They're building a massive Beauty and the Beast ride in Tokyo, right? Disneyland. Yeah. This was supposed to open up this summer or earlier, and it got delayed, but
yeah, I've seen that animatronic. It's pretty amazing.
It's so cool.
Yeah. I mean,
bring it to the U.S. is what I say.
Yeah, and I love that that ride in it's in
it's over in California, right? Adventure.
Yeah, I do love that one. It's a lot of fun.
And they have it in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World.
Have either of you seen the Broadway musical of Little Mermaid?
No,
sadly. I've only listened to the soundtrack, but I've never seen it.
I saw it when Hale Theater here in Salt Lake did it a few years ago, and I wasn't a big fan. I don't really recommend it. I mean, I don't know if I should spoil it, but
I did see it at Hale. At Hale. Yeah, and the plot, I mean, it's almost like it's not the Little Mermaid because the plot gets changed so significantly.
Yeah, they decide for some bizarre reason to make Ursula the sister of Triton, which was so stupid. Yeah,
I know. I'm with you, Alyssa.
No, that's not right. Like, stop. Why do they do things like that?
I know, it was so stupid. I was like, yeah, and so I don't know. And I just thought all the new songs were lame. And sure, the stuff from the original is great, but it was, I don't know. I was not a big fan. And
it's like this beauty contest or something, right? Or this like kind of talent contest or something.
Yeah. Well, and I don't need to know Ursula's backstory. I don't care about that, like, at all. I just want her to be who she is.
She's
and
Ursula.
Not have been like wronged by Triton.
Yeah.
These villain backstories really get me down, as you've heard me rant about.
But then we get that Triton puts Sebastian over Ariel. This is before Part of Your World. And then so Sebastian sings Under the Sea to Ariel. And this is such an incredible number. This won the Academy Award that year. And I think that we don't really expect the fun songs to win anymore. Like, it's always the ballad is almost always the one to win. So that's kind of refreshing. I feel like that Under the Sea was the winner that year. We're Part of Your World. But it's so fun. Like, every single, I forget the number, but it says in the audio commentary that every single fish is a different musical instrument. And so by the time it all gets together at the end, you have this kind of calypso, Jamaican inspired orchestra, basically, that's all playing this song, and all the different colors and again the bubbles and all that stuff just make it such a delightful number.
Yeah, it's super duper vibrant.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites of this kind of a like, if you compare it to something like Trash in the Camp or something like that in Tarzan, it's so much better. Because it just has, I mean, that song's fine, but this just has so much more like energy, and it's so much more a part of the story. And I mean, I guess I would put Be Our Guest above this, but I think both of those are kind of the same purpose, basically.
Yeah, it's like this very grand number, and it just gets more and more grand as it goes, and more like vibrant, and it's just if you've seen the movie, like, that's going to be one of the things that you take away from it, like, without a doubt.
Well, and they're both, and Friend Like Me, I think you could put in there as well, and Aladdin. So those songs are all, a minor, a supporting character trying to convince the main character to not do what she's doing.
Don't do the thing.
With them. I agree with them. So
it's a really nice slap on the wrist.
Yeah, that's right. They all fail. they all fail pretty good. I guess Jeannie succeeds probably the most, but they're such fun songs. And I don't know, I really love Under the Sea. Is that a favorite of yours, Stanford?
Oh, I love Under the Sea.
Yeah.
It's, and a classic Howard Ashman, because it's just, the lyrics are so clever.
Yeah.
They're so clever. Just integrating all the different fish names and just the fun rhymes he comes up with. Not to mention just the wonderful tune that, Alan Menken wrote for it as well. But it's fun. There's not a song that I don't like in the movie. I'm partial, as I mentioned, to Part of Your World, but yeah, it's terrific.
Yeah. And so Ariel is being all flighty after saving Eric, and Sebastian squeals, which I like that whole scene. I think it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it is funny too.
Ariel is in love, and I tried to stop her.
He's so dramatic there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just this guy who's supposed to be like really calm and collected and like keep her in line, and he like absolutely loses his mind.
Yeah. And Samuel Wright, he does such a great job as Sebastian.
He's good.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Triton has his tissy fit and destroys all of her stuff. And what do you think, Stanford, about Triton as a character?
Well, I think one of the things I really like about King Triton is that he is human. I mean, no, he's not human. He makes mistakes.
Yeah, he's
just trying to be a dad, in addition to being king. But this is more focused on his dad, on his fatherly duties. And I like it how he's portrayed. I mean, I'm going to say, he's portrayed as real. Of course, he's not real, but
I get it.
But like, he's got real emotions, and I really like how they animate him. When he trashes Ariel's grotto, they show his face again afterwards, and it's a face of questioning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I interpret it. How do you both see that?
What do you
think? He's such a interesting character to me, especially now that I'm a parent and seeing things differently, because I rewatched the film today.
Yeah.
And I understand him so much more than I did as a kid. And like you said, after he wrecks her grotto, that little bit of questioning in his face that you see, that's every decision as a parent. Everything you do, even if you know it's 100% right, you question it. And so I see that, and I love how his character is portrayed, because like you said, he has those real qualities that you get from him. And whether you're a kid, you're like, that's what my parent does. Or whether you're a parent, you're like, yeah, I can understand where he's coming from. He's relatable.
Yeah. Well, and also the script does a good job of kind of making it clear that Ariel is his favorite.
Right.
And so the fact that this is happening with Ariel is especially
his favorite daughter. It's extra hard for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think Kenneth Mars, he does a good job.
Oh, isn't it Kenneth Mars?
Yeah,
he's so great.
Is the voice of Triton. He has something Kingsley, I guess, about his voice. I feel like, and I mean, a lot of people are really hard on Ariel, but I think her decisions make complete sense. It doesn't. Yeah, if my stuff had if I had been wanting my whole life to become human, and my stuff had all just been destroyed, and then Flotsam and Jetsam come, who are skilled manipulators, come and present a way for me to have what I want. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, of course, what are you going to say? You're going to be like, no, I'm going to count on my dad to switch me over,
Well, and what he did was such a break of her trust.
Yeah.
So why was she going to trust her dad in this? And these guys are like, hey, we have a way to give you what you want. If Triton had come in and been like, let's have a good talk about this,
right.
instead, chances are she would have just appreciated it from afar. than being like, nah, I'm gonna go get legs. You know.
Right. And
people,
same, you know, Sebastian betrayed her
yeah.
too, you know.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you go tell my father? You're good at that. Yeah, I mean, people are like, oh, she's such a brat. And I'm just like, I don't see it. I don't get that. I mean, because yes, she was rebellious, but she also had this desire for a long time. And nobody was listening to her. And there was literally no other options for her to have to be in the spot where she was supposed to be. And she knew it. And she fought for it. To me, she's a fighter. And yes, a rebel, but again, I love it when Sebastian says, and you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. Yep. And that's true. And so I don't know. And I know that a lot of people, like in the LGBTQ community and other sort of marginalized communities, really connect with Ariel because she couldn't be who she was meant to be. And she had to kind of hide that away. And so I think that there was always a side of me that connected with her because I didn't like being a child. I was very frustrated by it. I wanted to be able to be the one making the choices and the decisions, and it was hard for me. And I used to go through my mom's like wallet and purse and be like, I can't wait till the day that I have my own stuff and my own things and I don't have to be told what to do all the time. I was a delightful child to raise. And so to me, I really connected with Ariel because I just knew that feeling of like wanting to be in a different spot than where I was at. And so when people say that she's this horrible character, it kind of, I'm just always like, really? Oh, I don't get it. I don't get it. And I mean, it's hard because she gets compared with Belle all the time. And Belle is she's the opposite. Here she's going to sacrifice her whole life for her father. She's willing to give up everything, as opposed to Ariel, who kind of couldn't care less. So, I get it, but I don't know. I like both characters.
Yeah. I mean, Belle is amazing in her own right, and she's just a different type of person. And I think people comparing them is kind of unfair because just because Ariel goes after what she wants doesn't make her necessarily selfish, because ultimately she does put herself on the line for everything.
Yeah. What do you think, Stanford, about that?
It is interesting to comparison, but they're such different characters, really. I mean, clearly they, we don't know if Ariel has a mom, right? I was gonna say, but as far as they both, it's just kind of they just have a dad, and I think honestly that's where almost the comparison stops, because the dads are so different, their situations are so different, their personalities are so different.
Yeah.
And I can't say I find one more virtuous than another. I mean, I kind of view Ariel as a teenager. Belle feels like she's a little more mature.
Yeah.
If not in age, just in temperament.
Right.
But again, I just it's hard for me to compare them because I just think they're just so completely different, and their situations are so different.
Yeah. Well, the environments they're in is just completely opposite. I mean, one literally grew up in the water, so entirely different creature.
Yep.
That's
exactly.
Right. So then we get Poor Unfortunate Souls, and this is just such a great sales pitch. I mean, the great villain songs most of the time are a kind of a sort of a sales pitch to convince the goons to to agree to follow them, or to convince the heroine to agree in this case. with her plan, and she does such a great job. It's so fun. I absolutely love it. Flotsam Jetsam, now I've got her, boys.
Yeah.
On a roll. Yeah, and I also love the whole section of this song with that you got your looks, your pretty face.
And yeah, done the anime Ursula again in such a perfect way, and yeah.
I also love the fact that she's the only like octopus character that we see, which also doesn't make any sense that she would be his sister when she's an octopus and he's a mermaid.
Yeah.
Merman. What?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that whole my voice. You take my
one
don't
of the things
underestimate the importance of body language. It's so good.
Sorry to interrupt your Rach. One of the things I thought was so interesting, also I believe they mentioned this in the Howard documentary, on Disney Plus, that Poor Unfortunate Souls is also such an important song with the story, because not only is it just a great song, but also there's a lot happening. Ariel not only gets sold on it, she signs the contract and turns into human and goes up to the surface. All kind of within that whole sequence. So it's super. It's extremely important to the story, and I think just is really well done. That's one of the things I really love about how they use Sebastian and Flounder too to help when Ariel gets her legs, and then also I think kind of loses her, her ability to breathe underwater. They help her. They save her and get her up there. I love that.
I do too. I like that too. And just how nice Eric is, because I think they do a pretty good job of establishing Eric as a character. We get to see him at the beginning, that he knows that there's someone out there for him, that he's like a romantic, and then he's so kind to her at this when he first finds her. I think she's just a shipwreck victim, but I think they do a good job in fairly minimal scenes. Do a good job with his character. So I also think the other thing about Ariel that to me shows there's more than just her wanting a man is just how excited she is by everything when she gets to land.
Oh yeah.
I know, is that fun?
Yeah, when she goes on the tour and she's looking at the puppets and she's looking at everything. She wants to drive the horses, everything she's so excited about. And so to me, that says to me, this is somebody that this whole experience is more important than just just getting the man.
Yeah, well, she barely pays attention to him. If you actually watch, she barely pays attention to him. Not until Kiss the Girl comes up. That's literally, she's focused on everything but him, just about.
Yeah. Agreed. And one weird thing is, so they present her in the pink dress, and in the Disney princess lineup, they have her in a green dress.
Yeah.
For which she's not in any scene in the movie. So I don't understand where this green dress comes from.
I would like to know too. I've been wondering this my whole life.
Yes. Right?
This is a pivotal question to me.
Yes. Thank you. See?
I have no problem with the green dress. It's very lovely, but where? Why? Why couldn't she have been in that instead of the pink dress? The pink dress is okay, but the green dress to me is better, honestly, and fits more of the mermaid vibe.
Yeah. And it's not even in the sequels. It's
nope.
prequel/sequel. It is, they invented a green dress. Which I have no idea why they didn't just use either the pink dress or the blue dress.
Or even the epic sparkly dress at the end.
Yeah, or her wedding, the sparkly dress.
The sparkly dress when Triton gives her legs, right?
Yeah, I'm did they just want to make more Funko Pops? What is the...
Basically.
They just didn't. Especially when they make there's the whole debate about is it the pink dress or the blue dress or the Aurora?
Yeah,
they're just inventing dresses.
They're like, it's fine. Nobody will notice.
No one will notice. That makes me so happy that you so then we have the whole Le Poisson scene with Chef Louis. And
I love that song so much.
I know, me too.
Well, it's totally like, if there's a part that's kind of out of place, it kind of is. It's sort of random, but I do love it. And my brother, again, he grew up with me singing, and I mean, not just me, my younger sister as well. And my younger sister and I we used to share a room, and we used to have competitions with ourselves about who sounded the most like Ariel, and we would sing all night long. And so we just love this movie so much. And my brother did a like study abroad in France, so this immersion thing with a bunch of other English, American and English speaking people. And he told me that when the very first time someone mentioned poissons, les poissons, or however you say it in French, that every girl in the room just started singing this song. He's like, what is happening?
He's like having flashbacks to home, like you and your sister singing.
It's just
amazing.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and I love it. It's great. It's very kind of, it's sort of it almost has a Warner Brothers feel to it, a Looney Tunes.
Oh yeah,
it does. It's so crazy, but I think that's one of the things that makes this so fun.
Yeah. I have missed one. What's
the
problem? What is this? Yeah, it's so good. I am sure that when they do the live action remake, they will cut that out. They will not have it. I don't think, but I would be shocked. I don't think it was in the Broadway.
Shocked too.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the Broadway musical.
It shows Sebastian's dedication for sure, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel
absolutely.
like, guys, I'm out. Like, I'm done. Like, not doing it.
Yeah. When he's like, when I went through to do today for you. And so yes, then we have the going out into town, like you said, and and then Kiss the Girl starts out with Scuttle, which I think is so funny.
Yeah, Scuttle. Yeah,
like Buddy Hackett must have had fun doing that.
I think so too.
Yeah, and so it was cute at Fan X. There was a little kid who asked Jodie Benson what her favorite song was, and she said, "Well, what's your favorite song?" And he said, "What's the favorite song you sang in Little Mermaid?" And he said, "Well, what's your favorite song?" And he said, "Kiss the Girl," and she kind of laughed, and she's like, "Well, actually, Ariel isn't able to speak in that song." Anyway, it's cute, but it's a really I remember my church group that they did a whole kind of play for like a talent show. They did a whole thing on Kiss the Girl, and we all thought it was just the funniest thing. Like, and I still think it's funny. I still like it, and I love the animation. And that whole sequence is so good.
Isn't this just, I'm calling it staging. I'm sure that's not what it is, but it's just, it's delightful. The setting, and I love how the fish are spitting like fountains, and, just everything about it, and fireflies, and so terrific.
Well, we get such different colors too in that.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
It's such a different coloration of everything, and like the willow like branches hanging down, and it just creates this like atmosphere, and like it's just very magical.
I agree. Yeah, really nice lighting in that whole sequence, and it's just a really fun song from from Macon and Ashman there. And then we get Vanessa appearing, and I don't know if you did you know
Vanessa.
that Jodie Benson does Vanessa's voice?
Yes.
No, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun. And I love the design of Vanessa. Like, I think she just looks like I really like the way that she's like a kind of a polar opposite of Ariel in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And just the black hair and everything.
She's such a contrast to her.
Yeah,
like, it's
exactly.
Just, yeah, I love her. Like, I love to hate her.
Yes.
She's a good love to hate character.
Absolutely, yeah.
The ocean will be mine. Yeah. And so we get to the first wedding. Of course, Eric is all glazed over and everything. You think that might be a little bit of a hint to some of these people, but I guess they'd have to do what they're told. And
I know. I just gotta, that's. I mean, don't want to think too much about it, but yeah, Grimm's just like giving him a bye. He's just like, well, okay.
Yeah, we have to do
like
it this
Eric,
afternoon.
You seem like a zombie, but
totally normal. It's fine.
Yeah, and they almost kiss, and then you're too late, which is a great moment.
Well, and I love just before that too, Rachel, how the all the scuttle and gets all the animals, to try to
they
take
do like
out.
an air raid.
Yeah. That's fun.
Great comic relief, just before a really serious moment. Yeah,
that's true. That's very true. And we get Ursula with Ariel, and Triton confronts them, tries to destroy the contract. It's unbreakable even for you. And it's when Ariel says, "Daddy, I'm sorry." And so we do get at least one moment where she shows some remorse. It's a quick moment, but it is there for what she did.
And it feels very genuine, though. Like, it's a very, it's from her heart. Like, you can feel it.
Yeah. She did not think that this was going to impact anybody but herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she certainly didn't think that her dad would end up as a shriveled thing, whatever those things are.
I know, Ursula's little minions. They're so sad.
They're so ugly, but so cute. The poor little things.
Then Eric is like super kick butt and awesome, and he's like, "I lost her once, I'm not gonna lose her again."
Oh, my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, he's so good. And then I do love the little moment when Ursula accidentally zaps Flotsam and Jetsam.
Oh,
my babies.
Yeah, that was a good way to just make her extra mad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then you have her becoming the giant, and then we get the final battle between them, and then she is speared through the gut with the ship, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's a really good way to take her out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And then we get the final transformation when Triton realizes that she really does love Eric. And I like it with Sebastian saying, "You have to let children make their own path, their own things." You always say that. It's so fun.
Yeah.
But I love that whole ending, and then the wedding, which she is a young bride, but what are you gonna do?
One thing I really like about the that scene too is where Ariel's seeing Eric on the beach. She's sitting on the rock. How it's a representation, I think, of that classic Little Mermaid statue that's in Copenhagen. I always liked that just artistic choice. I thought that was
it was a nice nod to it.
Yes,
yeah. So that's the movie. I really love it. It's really special to me, and I always debate about whether I like Beauty and the Beast or The Little Mermaid the best. Both are pretty nostalgic for me, but Little Mermaid is slightly more nostalgic for me. So my last ranking, I had I had Little Mermaid first, and when I did my blog ranking, I had Beauty and the Beast first. So I've been back and forth on it, but I love both movies so much, and they're both very special to me. I don't know. Yeah, I know it's your favorite, Alyssa, of the Disney films. Where would you have it ranked, Stanford?
So, I hope you still talk to me because you know how much I really like this film, and and ranking is hard.
Yes,
for me.
That's all right.
I have it at number 12.
Okay, that's perfectly respectable.
Beauty and the Beast is my number one.
Mm-hmm.
But this is all just again about my personal feelings for my personal enjoyment with the film versus all the technical stuff or whatever. So I have it just in between. I have Lady and the Tramp at 11 and Dumbo at 13.
Yeah, that's a good ranking.
So
yeah, and
it's a film I really love. I really love it, and I had so much fun rewatching it too.
It just brightened my day.
It just made me so happy. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Like it set my day off really good today.
Yes.
So I have done the random number generator, if I can talk adequately. I think I'm going to be more excited about this than you, Stanford. We're going to be talking about Make My Music for our next episode, which is a movie that I think is bonkers and I kind of like. So that's going to be fun. So look forward to that next time. And we have some comments on social media from people about this movie. So on Facebook, we have some responses about this film. Matthew David Klein, he says, to this day, I find it interesting that The Little Mermaid and The Princess and the Frog helped the Disney Animation Company get back on its feet again. That is since the films began the Disney Renaissance and Disney Revival eras, respectively. Not to mention they're both directed by John Musker and Ron Clements. Between these two particular Disney films, I would say that for the most part, The Little Mermaid is better. The only reason why is because there's more depth to those characters mostly. The music is a little more memorable and the story is a little more exciting. Also, how could you not feel the enmity between King Triton and Ursula? Also, there have been times in recent years where I felt really angry. I have reenacted the scene where Triton destroys Ariel's grotto, but pretending to do that. Anyway, the only area where I would say The Princess and the Frog is better than The Little Mermaid is Tiana. Seems to have a better character arc than Ariel. Tiana doesn't accept Facilier's deal, and Tiana learns better lessons than Ariel. Overall, The Little Mermaid is great, and I'm glad to have seen it when it was re-released in theaters back in 1997, like you said, Alyssa, as well as last year for its 30th anniversary. Kyle Ostrom, he says, I'll be brief despite the praise I'd heap on it. It's my favorite film of the Renaissance. There's a sheer confidence and energy to this film, especially when compared to the 70s and 80s features that led up to it. It's almost like the confidence and sense of let's try to do this big, cool thing that made Snow White so great and such a stellar debut for the Disney animated feature film. Anyways, Howard Ashman's personal stamp on the story and songs really anchors this one, along with Ron and John's execution of everything and then some. And we have more on Twitter. We have Adam Daly says, far and away the best Disney animated film, one of my favorite animated films of all time. Brett Haynes' review says, probably my least favorite of the Renaissance films. Don't like Ariel as a character, but I do think Ursula is a pretty good villain. Munar Aberdabo, she says, a classic that gave new life to Disney animation, fantastic song and characters. Dalton Carter says, a wonderful musical fantasy that breathed new life to Disney animation thanks to spectacular Ashman Menken soundtrack, beautifully crafted animation, and unforgettable cast of characters, and seeing it in theaters for its 30th anniversary last year was magical experience. Then one last one, Malthan for Jesus, he says, a fun and enjoyable fairy tale part of your world is my favorite and enthralls me. every time. I love the story of growing up and the father-daughter aspect. Part of me wishes they had gone with the alternate ending, but Ursula's ultimate victory and demise is too amazing to pass up. Really wished they had explored more with Eric, and I wonder how they will do this with the live action adaptation. Hopefully they won't mess it up, and hopefully it'll capture the spirit of the original. Overall, I give it 4.5 stars. So there we go. Some different opinions going on in the comments. So we appreciate everybody's thoughts there. And yeah, do you have any thoughts about the live action at all, Alyssa?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
But
yes.
I mean, they've done all right with the live adaptations. Like, in my opinion, like, I'm not as into, like, you know, the films and everything as a lot of people are, but I'm excited, but I'm also just like, please don't mess it up, because like it's so perfect for me the way it is. And sometimes I like things whenever they're left untouched. As a book nerd, just stop doing doing adaptations. A lot of times is how I feel. So.
Yes.
I am nervous because it is so special to me, but I know that Lin-Manuel is really special to him. So I'm putting a lot of trust in him because he's involved in the whole project from pretty much the start. So that, and I like the fact that they seem to be doing their own thing. This seems to be a unique take with them getting Haley Bailey.
Something like that. Yeah. No, and that's the thing, is I'd rather them do a fresh take on it than trying to recreate it for what it originally was.
Yeah.
Because when they start trying to stick too close to the original, I feel like that's when I get too picky and I get unhappy with it, you know?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Well, thank you so much, Alyssa, for coming. This was really fun.
Yes, this is wonderful. Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I have a new watch list. So
yes, I know. Give you the giant watch list.
But if people want to follow you on Instagram and all that, with what you do, how can they do that?
My username is the Little Librarian, and I upload a lot of bookish content on Instagram mostly. I used to do YouTube, but Instagram is my sole platform for now.
Yeah. And I'll have that in the description section. People can make sure to follow you. And Stanford, where can people find you?
On Twitter, I'm at Stanford Clark, and I have a movie podcast and blog at moviespastandpresent.com.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please check that out. And also you can follow us at Disney Talking. We try to post on there. And so please check that out. And you can also support us on Patreon, which we are so grateful for that support. It helps us do really fun things. So please check that out. We have live movie watch throughs. We have a Facebook group. So please take a look at that in the description. We also have our merch store, which has a #AnimationJunkie t-shirts and other fun stuff. So take a look at that. And thanks again, Alyssa. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you all next month for Make My Music. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.